Hi everyone, Heather here with Astrology with Heather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, November 5th, all the way through to Sunday, November 11th of 2018. And it's another big week in the astrology, you guys. There are a lot of big shifts going on here, a lot of energy with several different planets and points in the chart changing signs this week. So a lot of people are going to be in transition, making a lot of really important shifts and changes in their lives this week, either on maybe a minor scale or on a grander scale for, certain people with certain alignments in their chart. And so, this is going to be a really powerful week. There's a lot to talk about. I'm going to do my best to get into as much of it as possible, in the individual readings. But, we did go over a lot of what's coming up in the AstroNavigation for 2019 webinar that I did with Robert Phoenix. And so you'll get a really in-depth look at some of these energies, especially with the nodes and with Jupiter, in that recording. So you can totally purchase that webinar. The link is in the description below. But this week we have not only a really powerful and beautiful new moon in Scorpio, which is actually looking to be quite positive. The moon is technically at its fall in Scorpio. It doesn't necessarily do well there, but it's being supported in a really nice trine with Neptune, and that sun trine to Neptune actually comes exact on Monday of this week. And so that's going to be bringing in a lot of beautiful, harmonious, compassionate energy for manifestation, for psychic energy, for creativity, for enhancing our intuition, which is already, being enhanced. The veils are still quite thin right now, on the new moon after November 1st, which is Samhain. It's like lunar Samhain. So it's still, that sort of psychic energy, that energy of connecting with our ancestors, connecting with energies and even entities and things like that beyond the veil, beyond this realm, out of this world. It's a really good time to turn inward for introspection, right? Especially in the sign of Scorpio. This is a very powerful psychic energy. And so this is going to be in a really beautiful trine with Neptune and Pisces, which is deeply compassionate, deeply spiritual, mystical, interconnected. And, anytime I see Neptune really prominent in one of these transits, especially if it's hitting one of your personal planets or points in the chart, this is a time when you can visualize something and it can be made manifest later on. And so, doing things like visualization, doing things like different forms of meditation, doing things that are very creative, really setting solid intentions, but doing so in a way where you can feel it and sense it, and you sort of put yourself in that place that you want to be into the future. That's, a really great way to utilize this energy. This is also really great for getting in touch with your inner self, right? This is going to bring really powerful prophetic sorts of dreams and intuitions and downloads and all of that type of stuff. So this is a really powerful energy. The new moon is always a time when our psychic energy is heightened. But this is going to be especially the case for this new moon because it's in Scorpio, which again is a very psychic sign. It's all about getting to the core truth, to the bottom of things, really figuring out what's going on beneath the surface, behind the veil. And during this time of year especially, that's going to be extra potent. And then we have that trine to Neptune, which is always associated with mysticism and all of that type of stuff. So it's an interesting energy going on for this new moon. And then on top of that, we have these major shifts going on with some of the outer planets. So we have Uranus, which has been transiting through the sign of Taurus since May, bringing a lot of changes and shakeups and maybe some discomfort and frustration in the Taurus area of our charts and of our lives, which we went into pretty in depth a few times, in previous videos. But now Uranus is actually retrograding back into the sign of Aries, where it's been transiting for the past 8 years. And so this is a time when we're going to have to go back and revisit some of those Aries lessons, some of those Uranus and Aries lessons, and, maybe shake up the last bit of that stuck energy in that area of our lives, make the final adjustments, make the final changes. And so that's going to be a really powerful shift that's coming actually on, let's see, it comes exact on Tuesday, so the day before the new moon. On the day of the new moon, we have the lunar nodes changing signs and moving backwards, which they always do, into the signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. We'll have the south node in Capricorn and the north node in Aquarius. And this is one of those topics that we talked about really super in depth in that webinar that I just mentioned, the AstroNavigation for 2019 that I did with Robert Phoenix, which you can still purchase. It's going to be relevant for the next 2 years. We went all the way through to 2020, and especially we went into detail about the lunar nodes. So I will cover this, to a certain extent in this forecast, obviously, but you can get a deeper understanding of what's coming up for you, especially if you have planets in Capricorn or in Cancer, because that's going to be really important. And the eclipses are going to be happening there, right? That's where the fated sort of karmic transitions, the more significant events in our lives tend to occur and pile up around those eclipse points. And so we're going to be shifting into the North Node in Cancer, which is going to be a very different energy from Leo, and the South Node in Capricorn. With the North Node in Cancer, the North Node represents the path that we're moving into. It represents a new path. It's something that we've never done before, that we can feel a little bit ambivalent toward, we can feel a little bit scared about. It's something that we might kind of jump into head first, and maybe we'll make some mistakes. We'll be a little wobbly, but we'll learn as we go through this process, right? Of focusing our intention and our energy in this area of our charts. And so a lot of karmic new beginnings and sort of movement in a new direction can occur in the area represented by Cancer in our charts. And so the North Node in Cancer in general is going to be pulling us toward focusing on our roots, focusing on our home, our family, our space of living, what makes us feel comfortable, safe, secure. Safety and security are very much key words for Cancer in particular. And so that's going to sort of take on a new level of importance over the course of the next 18 months while the North Node is transiting Cancer. Safety, security, our comfort zones, our emotions will definitely be heightened. Probably a little bit more all over the place. We might be a little bit more sensitive. This week, especially with this really super psychic, super sensitive new moon happening in the sign of Scorpio with that trine to Neptune, right? But in general, over the next 18 months, a lot of people can find themselves feeling much more sensitive, being pulled into new directions in life. And we'll get into what areas those will be affected in each sign. And then also the South Node is going to be in the sign of Capricorn. And so the South Node in Capricorn is going to be paired up with Pluto and Saturn there. So that's going to be an area of a lot of letting go and releasing and wrapping up old karma. It's going to be a lot of intensity, potential crisis, transformation, a lot of hard work in this area, but there is a need to surrender, right? When we're talking about the South Node, we're talking about an area that's faded. And an area where we're sort of revisiting and looking at what we've already done before in this area and letting go and, releasing, focusing so much energy on this area of our lives. The more you focus on the South Node, you can focus on the South Node. You do need to focus on the South Node to a certain extent, but if you tie up your identity, if you tie up your ambitions with the area of the South Node too much, it can bog you down. It can leave you feeling very dissatisfied. It can cause a little bit of sort of chaos, right? Because the South Node represents the path that we're moving away from. It's something that we've already mastered in our previous experiences. And the transiting nodes, they have this effect as well. It shows us what we've already mastered in our previous experiences in this lifetime or in previous lifetimes. And it brings out a lot of the gifts and the benefits of those experiences, but it also shows us where we maybe need to let go and surrender a little bit and stop sort of forcing things. A lot of past life connections can come up, and a lot of past karma can come up in this area of our lives as well, as we sort of unravel, the karmic knots as we go through this process, especially during the eclipse points, right, when the eclipses happen. But yeah, so we're having the North and South Node transiting Capricorn and Cancer. And so that happens on Wednesday, the day of the full moon. And then on Thursday, we have Jupiter moving into the sign of Sagittarius, which is its home sign. And so this is a very beneficial, beautiful aspect that's going to be lasting for about a year. And, this is where we're going to see a lot of growth, expansion, good fortune, good karma, positivity. This is the auspicious placement in our chart right now where things can grow and expand and work out a lot more easily for us. And so this is another topic that we went really in depth into that webinar that I just told you about, the AstroNavigation for 2019. And so if you want to get a really deep look into Jupiter and Sagittarius, that's the place to go, and that's the place to check it out. And I'll also include a link below for the North and South nodes and for Jupiter and Sagittarius. For my newsletter that I send out each month, in my monthly newsletter, I did do an interpretation, a written interpretation by sign. So I'll put a link for that in the description below. And then, there's always a little link in the upper left-hand corner of that page where you can sign up for the newsletter so you can get updates about the astrology each month as well. But yeah, so Jupiter will be moving into Sagittarius. That's its home sign. It's expanding on our integrity, our morality. It's expanding on adventure. It's expanding on that sort of jovial Sagittarian nature where people will feel much more like light and optimistic and expansive, as opposed to, Jupiter and Scorpio. It expanded on some dark stuff, right? We had a lot of interesting stuff coming up and coming out of the woodworks on a social, sort of more collective level, and people in their own lives too. Jupiter doesn't always bring only benefits. It tends to sort of expand on anything that it touches. It causes us to overdo things. It can exacerbate problems in our chart that we haven't been addressing, so that way we can look at it more easily and work through it a lot more easily. And so, Jupiter does a lot of different things. And in Scorpio, it seemed to work a little bit more along the lines of pulling up sort of deep issues and traumas and difficulties out of our charts so we can look at it, right? Pulling up our fears and then showing it to us, right? So that way we can face them. And so when we're looking at it with Jupiter, under the microscope of Jupiter, or under the expansion, I guess, the magnifying glass of Jupiter, I guess it's similar to a microscope, but when it's magnified by Jupiter, it shows us that there's no reason to really be afraid, right? We're like, why were we afraid of this to begin with? It's really not that scary. Jupiter in Sagittarius is quite different. It's expanding on all of these, really jovial, sort of happy Sagittarian qualities, and it's expanding on our need for adventure, mobility, freedom, sovereignty. These are all Sagittarian attributes and qualities. So you'll see people pushing and finding more momentum toward, finding that independence, finding that sovereignty, especially in the area of Sagittarius in our lives. But this is also, as we go through, I'll tell you about what we can expand on, what we can grow over the course of the next 12 months. All right, so I feel like that was a lot of information already. This is probably going to be a longer video. I really wanted to record this outside too because it's so nice out there, but we have like Africanized killer bees or something like on our property, so they're like swarming me when I go out there, and I'm not sure what to do about it. So I had to come inside, and then I tried to find the different areas inside to record, and then I just ended up right back where I started at my computer. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, of course, beginning with Aries. And so for Aries and for Aries rising, this new moon is occurring in your 8th house. And so it's in Scorpio, right? It's in its home. But this is bringing new beginnings and a major reset in the area involving your fears, your insecurities, power struggles, issues involving joint finances, especially by marriage or by inheritance or through debt or through taxes. And so, if there's anything that you need to accomplish or that you want to manifest in this area of life, even, it could be a renewal in terms of a process of self-empowerment through facing your fears in a way that can come about really gently, really beautifully, but really for you in particular, Aries, because this is happening in your 8th house, and this is in trine with Neptune in your 12th house. These are both hidden houses. This is a really important time for you to take time away from the world, to spend time in solitude, seclusion, introspection. For everyone with this, new moon, that's going to be part of the energy, but for Aries in particular, that's going to be quite strong. And for all of the fire signs in particular, that's going to be quite strong. So this is a really good week if you can to take time away, take time out from, your daily routines, your daily activities, your daily workload, and allow yourself time to rest and relax and, do something creative, do something that brings you back into harmony with yourself. Pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your intuition because it can be quite strong right now. But yeah, this is a really great time to face your fears, to move forward with something new in terms of these 8th house themes like power struggles, empowerment, trauma, deep-seated wounds and insecurities, joint finances. This could even be a new beginning for like if you're in a marriage partnership or some sort of partnership where you share resources. This could be a new beginning for your partner or your spouse when it comes to, you know, the way that they create resources for themselves. So it's a nice energy. Thinking about what you want to manifest in those areas. And then for Uranus, so Uranus is moving backward into your sign. So for those of you who have your Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising toward the end degrees of the sign, so that 29th degree all the way up until like the 25th, 24th degree, you're going to be having Uranus retrograde and hit, you know, your Sun, Moon, Rising over the course of the next few months. And so Uranus moving retrograde back into Aries is going to have you revisit a lot of the personal changes that you were making to your personality, your persona, your sovereignty. It's going to make you, you know, revisit a little bit of that rebellion. If there's any rebellion or any change that, or any frustration that you've been internalizing and that you didn't actually follow through with or act on when Uranus was transiting your sign, over the next few months, this is the last sort of chance for you to move with that energy to make those changes. And so it could be a little bit of a disruptive energy. You can have some shocking, really unexpected experiences that affect you personally and that cause you to change your personality, your persona, the way that you show up in the world. The other thing that you're going to be having occur during this time is the nodes will be shifting into Cancer and Capricorn. And so this is going to be your 10th and 4th house. And so over the course of the next 18 months, it's about focusing on laying down roots. It's about getting your house in order, very fated, very karmic circumstances showing up involving your home, your family, your property, and the people that you care about. And it doesn't have to be, you know, biological family. It can be your sort of soul family or the friends that feel like family, right? Whoever you're closest with and whatever's going on beneath the surface. It's about making sure that you have a good work-life balance, letting go of working too hard, letting go of any sort of outdated attachments or any old karma involving your work. And so this is going to be a lot of focus on what happens after work, right? So there's, you know, you have Capricorn on your midheaven. You're probably a hardworking person. And so it's about shifting your focus, right? And yeah, okay, work is this, work is that. It might be a little bit more difficult and turbulent for you in general already, and especially as the South Node is joining Pluto and Saturn. You've been working really hard, but what happens after work? What are you working for? You know, what do you come home to? That's what this is about. And then you're going to have Jupiter moving into the 9th house in Sagittarius. And so this is going to be you expanding and exploring on your mindset, your beliefs about God, the universe, the world around you. It's an excellent time to explore some sort of higher education, higher wisdom, or to go on an adventure, right? To learn through experience. You might have unexpected opportunities for travel, or you might just find it a little bit more, you might be able to travel a little bit more easily, maybe because there's, you know, finances that come in, or you get invited on a really cool trip or something like that, or just because you feel the urge, right? You feel the urge to sort of break away and, you know, get out there and see the world. And so you'll have this Jupiter blessing the Sagittarius area of your chart, that 9th house, for the next year. All right, so for Taurus and for Taurus rising, so a lot of things are happening for you this week. You have a really powerful new moon in your 7th house in the sign of Scorpio. This is going to be in a really beautiful trine with Neptune and Pisces. And so this is a great week for you guys for relationships in particular. So this can bring really powerful new beginnings. It can reorient your focus toward relationship. If you've been focusing a little bit too much on your own needs, your own self-interest, changing things up on a personal level with that Uranus and Taurus energy, you know, this can bring a big karmic reset for you in the area of your life involving relationships. And that doesn't have to just be romantic relationships. It's all long-term partnerships. It's also about looking at what you want to manifest when it comes to your friends, your social networks with Neptune and Pisces, what you want to manifest when it comes to your close relationships, right? What do you want to create? Visualize that. Sit in it, feel it, right? Experience it in your mind, and it'll help you to make that into reality. In general, it will, but especially right now, which is not a very Taurus thing, right? Taurus is all about practical, grounded, doing things in physical reality. Well, right now, the energy's favoring doing the exact opposite, sitting back, introspection, right? And just allowing things to happen in a really beautiful, very harmonious, very karmic way where you might not understand how these things will manifest, but they will. And so a really great week for, connection and compassion and harmonious energy in relationships, having really passionate new relationships come into your life. Again, not always romantic, but in general, over the course of this lunar cycle, having new partnerships, new friendships, new connections come in. The other energy that's happening is that Uranus is obviously retrograding out of your sign. Maybe you're like, yay, because Taurus maybe doesn't want to change so much. It's been bringing up some shocking, unexpected surprises for you, especially if your Taurus sun, moon, or rising is at the first couple of degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is going back into Aries. So this is exploring, first off, anytime you have Uranus in Aries, it's bringing up any subconscious need for change or subconscious rebellion, and it's sort of bubbling that up to the surface for you to look at. This is about exploring things that are unusual, like unusual spiritual philosophies, unusual practices of all kinds behind the scenes, beneath the surface. It is about internalizing your rebellion. This can bring a lot of divine inspiration and downloads through your dreams, through your subconscious. When you have the Uranus transiting through your 12th house, this is essentially an 8-year preparation for Uranus hitting your ascendant. So the change has to happen on a subconscious, subtle level, on this sort of ethereal level, before these major upheavals and changes to your personality, your persona, your direction in life manifest in physical reality. And so you're going back and fine-tuning this on a very subtle, internalized level. And so this is, again, a really great time for introspection. The next few months, you might have some unconscious urges bubbling up to the surface that you can't keep in anymore. The other things that are going on here are that you're having the North and South Node transiting into your 9th and your 3rd house. And so with the North Node in Cancer transiting into your 3rd house, this is an energy that supports communication, right? Focusing on the way that you communicate, what you need, want, desire, in order to feel comfortable in your immediate environment in terms of your community, your extended family, your siblings, your neighborhood. Are you in the right neighborhood? Do you feel safe in this neighborhood, right? Those types of things. How are you talking to yourself? That's another thing too that I always advise people to really look at when you have a lot of 3rd house transits going on, because the day-to-day language that you use is reflected very much so in the 3rd house. Also, it has to do with Mercury, right? But the day-to-day language that you use makes up the bigger picture that sort of frames your reality and frames and creates your beliefs about reality and your beliefs about yourself and what you feel is or is not possible. And so you're going to be kind of moving in a new direction when it comes to the way that you communicate, your self-talk, your ideas. You might be exploring new forms of education, new skill sets, especially Cancerian types of skill sets. So maybe like you take a cooking class or something like that, or you start learning about different forms of nutrition, or learning about caring for pets. That's another Cancerian thing, right? Nurturing, how to nurture yourself, how to nurture the people around you, how to nurture your community. That's going to be a focal point with that North Node in the 3rd house. The South Node will be in the 9th house. And so this is focusing less on the bigger picture and focusing a little bit more on the day-to-day in order to come back into balance. The South Node being in the 9th house indicates that focusing too much on the bigger picture, focusing too much on your beliefs, being very rigid and dogmatic in your beliefs, right? Because that's Capricorn, rigid structures, rigid beliefs that you're holding on to and that you're not willing to compromise. Those are going to be breaking down over the next few years, really, but especially this next year and a half. And then you have Jupiter moving into the 8th house. And so when Jupiter moves into the 8th house, you've just sort of finished this time of expanding on relationship, right? Figuring out what you truly want and need in relationship, and maybe bringing in some new, fresh, wonderful, beneficial relationships into your life, hopefully. Not always the case, but can be the case. But you have Jupiter moving into your 8th house, and the 8th house is the house of joint finances, other people's money. So finances through partnership, debt, also taxes, inheritance, and money that can come in unexpectedly from the outside with Jupiter in the 8th house, right? So you might have some unexpected finances come in for you that can benefit you. If you are in debt, this is a really important time to pay off those debts, because it'll be a lot easier for you to do so. So channel your energy into that, right? And it could be easier because you have more money coming in, but even if not, it's something you can address less fearfully. and you can address it more fully, and it's not going to be as scary to do. This is also you addressing your deep fears, insecurities, anxieties, past wounds and traumas, and all those types of things, and healing in a way that's a lot more, that's just a lot easier for you in general. So this is a good time to take hold of that energy. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this energy is happening in your 6th and your 10th house when it comes to this powerful new moon in Scorpio. And so you're going to be having the new moon in your 6th house, which is the house of health. It's the house of work. It's the house of daily routines. And it's going to be in a really beautiful trine with Neptune in the 10th house. So anything you really want to manifest when it comes to your work, you know, the big career goals and how you can connect that with your day-to-day routines, day-to-day work life, day-to-day work environment, coworkers, you know, that type of experience. Anything you want to manifest in those areas, any changes you want to make, that will help you to come more into alignment with what you truly want, need, and desire in these areas. Now is the time where you have sort of the green light to set those intentions, right? Like I said before, the other signs, this is a really great time to visualize what you want, really imagine yourself in it, feel it, and you know, then allow things to unfold, because that's going to be the best way to utilize this energy. The other things that are happening for Gemini are that you have Uranus retrograding back into your 11th house of friendship. And so you might have had a lot of sort of shocking, unexpected circumstances involving friends, social networks, the people that you surround yourself with by choice, groups, clubs, that type of thing. There's probably been a lot of unusual situations, shakeups, and changes going on over the past 8 years when it comes to the people you surround yourself with, your friends. And so there might be a few minor changes or adjustments, or even major changes and adjustments that you still need to make over the course of these next few months. And the frustrations in this area will give you a clue as to what changes you need to actually follow through with. The other thing that's happening is the North and South Node will be transiting into your 8th and your 2nd house. And so the North Node and the eclipse is happening in your 2nd house of finance. This is all about how you create your own resources through your own efforts and through your own hard work. And so this is going to pull you into a whole new path and a whole new direction when it comes to not just the way that you deal with resources, but your beliefs about money and what you value on a physical level. With the South Node in the 8th house is letting go of fear, debt, insecurity, relying on others for support in a financial way. And so, you know, this is letting go of anything really with the South Node, and also having Saturn and Pluto in the 8th house. It's letting go of anything that disempowers you and that causes you to feel like you don't have the strength or the willpower or whatever it is that you need to get by, right? It's your fears. It's your fears about not being good enough. These are things that you're going to be able to work through and to let go of over the course of these next 18 months. And then you have Jupiter moving into the sign of Sagittarius. This is in your 7th house, and so this is going to be bringing benefits through relationships, right? Beneficial relationships that can come in. New relationships or old partnerships can be sort of revitalized, and you can have a lot of great benefits through pretty much all relationships, new and old alike, over the course of the next year. This can really expand on your close connections with people. It can expand on you having adventures in relationship, right? Having more adventurous, more exciting relationships as well. And even, you know, connecting with people in foreign countries and things like that. That's very Sagittarian. Connecting with people who share similar beliefs, or who share beliefs with you that can expand your horizons, expand your knowledge base. All right, for Cancer and for Cancer rising, this new moon energy is happening in your 5th and your 9th house. And so this is all about you having fun, right? So new moon in the 5th house is a good time to focus on what it is that you love to do, right? It's about your passions, your hobbies, your interests, the way that you play. And so having this new moon happening in the sign of Cancer, and you know, if your sun, moon, and rising are around 15 degrees, I would give it anywhere from like 12 to 18 degrees in the sign of Cancer. You're going to be having a grand trine forming with the moon and with Neptune right now. And so this is going to be a very loving, compassionate, creative time for you. This is an excellent time to do anything creative, right? This is 5th house stuff. This is about your creativity and the way that you express yourself outwardly through that creativity. This is about doing the things that you love to do because you love to do it because you're passionate about it. This is about reconnecting with those passions or finding new passions. This is about new beginnings when it comes to romance. This is about new beginnings when it comes to your children or children in general. Maybe, you know, this is you, if it's a really strong influence in your chart, you know, with certain other things going on, maybe this is you deciding to have children or something like that. So a fresh start or a new beginning in that area. This is also about your beliefs and being a little bit more compassionate toward yourself, and in respect to the way that you sort of frame your reality. And so this could also be you manifesting maybe an opportunity to do something really fun involving travel, involving, connecting with people in a foreign country, involving learning something new, especially something creative or intuitive or spiritual or mystical in some sort of way. And so this can benefit you in a lot of different ways. So this is a really great energy for all the water signs, really. But, for Cancers in general, it's going to be some good energy. What might feel a little different is going to be that North Node moving into your sign, right? So the North Node moving into Cancer, I mean, that's actually usually quite a positive thing when you have the North Node transiting over your ascendant. It's a positive thing in terms of your own development, your own growth, right? Because it's throwing you into a whole new path in life, especially when it hits your ascendant exact or when you have the eclipses. So this is going to throw you in a whole new direction. This is a fated path that you're moving into. Relationships are not going to be as important to you, and some relationships might unravel over the course of the next 18 months, especially if they're sort of past their expiration date. If you no longer need them, if they don't serve your soul's growth, if they don't serve your path and purpose in this lifetime anymore. So it's going to be a lot of energy shifting you from focusing your intentions and your energy and all of that too much on relationships. And now it's time for you to focus on your own needs and your own self-interest. And sometimes people who, when they have these transits of the North Node through the first house, they can even start to come off as a little bit selfish. But it's okay to be selfish when you have the North Node transiting your first house, as long as you're not going overboard with it, right? So that's a little bit about what's going on there. You also have Uranus retrograding back into Aries, and so any final changes, turbulence, shake up energy that needs to come out when it comes to your career, your public reputation, making those final adjustments, that's going to be happening over the next few months, into, I would say, I think it's March of 2019, we'll be having Uranus and Aries. So you're going to be revisiting that energy, making any last final adjustments. This is going to be like the last little sprint here to make those changes and to act on your rebellious nature and what you need in order to feel much more liberated, much more independent, much more free when it comes to the way that you do your work out in the world. And then finally, Jupiter will be moving into Sagittarius in your 6th house. And so this is an energy where it's going to bring a lot of great benefits to your health, to your daily routines, and to your work. So you can expand on your work. You can expand on your relationship with your coworkers. You can, work to improve your health a lot more easily, or you can just become lazy in these areas because it's working well for you. It's just what you decide to do with it, right? You can take hold of the energy, seed something, or just kind of let it pass and kick back and relax. All right, for Leo and for Leo rising, so you're having this new moon in Scorpio happening in your 4th house. And so this is a really powerful new beginning happening behind the scenes in the realm of your home, your family, your property, your inner world, especially with this really nice trine here to Neptune in the 8th house. This is definitely a time to turn inward, a time to seek solitude, seclusion, comfort, within the family, within the home. It's not a time really to be out, going crazy or anything like that. It's really a good time for you to rest and replenish and to do some, inner work over the course of this next week, especially. A lot of really great benefits can come, from doing that. This is a time of heightened intuition, heightened compassion, especially when it comes to your relationship with your family. And then the other things that are happening are that you're going to have Uranus retrograding from your 10th back into your 9th. And so any last minute adjustments you need to make to your beliefs, your education, your knowledge base, anything that might come up for you that you haven't done yet that you might need to do, involving breaking free from old routines and old paradigms through travel, through adventure, through new experiences that help you to learn and to grow and to change your beliefs, your ethics, your mindsets, your moral values, your religious sort of framework, if that's something that you have. So you're going to be making changes and adjustments, the final adjustments in this area. The other thing that's happening is that the North and South Node will be transiting from your sign in Leo and Aquarius. And if you have your North and South Node at the 1st degrees of Leo and Aquarius, you're probably going to be feeling this a little bit more so than some of the other degrees. But you're going to have the North Node retrograding back into your 12th house, When the North Node transits through the 12th house, a lot of times really fated sort of karmic circumstances come up that pull us out of daily reality, that pull us out of the daily grind. Although you will have to work quite hard over these next couple of years still with Pluto and Saturn in your 6th house of hard work. You know, there could be something that comes up that causes you to have to pull back, to go inward, to spend more time in solitude and seclusion. You can feel like you're a little more isolated with the North Node transiting through the 12th house, and it can come about in very fated and karmic ways. The South Node being in your 6th house, you know, can unravel things and sort of bring up old karma to be released when it comes to things like health, things like your daily routines, all of those things that we talked about. But it's about coming back into balance between working hard and resting hard, right? Doing the sort of physical outer stuff and outer work, and doing the inner work as well. You know, North Node transits to the 12th house are an excellent time to go on some sort of spiritual retreat or some sort of quest to find yourself and to, you know, do the subconscious work, do the work with your dreams, all of that kind of stuff. Look at your past lives, which I just talked about with Ksenia in my last video. So you can go back and watch that, because, you know, these are the types of energies and themes that'll be coming up for Leos in particular over these next 18 months with the eclipses, which are super karmic. And then you're going to be having Jupiter moving into Sagittarius. So Jupiter's been expanding on your home, family, property, creating better relationships and you know, having, you know, new developments when it comes to that area. And now it's expanding on your ability to play, to have fun, to feel much more jovial, much more light. This is a good time to, you know, enjoy, where you have the green light to really enjoy anything that you're passionate about. So it's engaging in your passions, your hobbies, your interests, your creativity, the things that you love to do because you love to do them. So you have the green light to engage in that. This can also expand on romance or your relationship with children, or, you know, it can bring children into your life if that's something that you're aiming for. And at some point, this is going to be trining your ascendant. And so that's really great for you personally, right? That can bring a lot of really great benefits to you. It can make you more charismatic, more likable. It brings a lot of good fortune to anything that you initiate during that time, whenever that is. All right. So for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this energy for the new moon is happening in your 3rd house. And so this is going to be new beginnings when it comes to your neighbors, your community, you know, a reset in that area, a reset when it comes to your thoughts and your day-to-day communications, your mindset, your relationship with siblings, extended family members. This also rules vehicles. Maybe it's, you know, time to think about getting, I wouldn't get a new vehicle with Venus retrograding, but maybe time to think about getting a nicer used vehicle or something. Finding a good deal is a good thing to do when Venus is in retrograde as well. But anyway, so this is going to be really positive for Virgo and Virgo rising when it comes to communication, especially having really compassionate, open communication in relationships, having deeper, more spiritual, you know, connections in relationship, which is something that Virgo rising people tend to crave. They want to sort of merge their soul with the soul of their partner, right? That's Pisces on the descendant. And so Neptune's been sort of enhancing that energy for quite some time now. And this new moon is triggering that, but in a very positive way. So I would say that you'd have a lot of really positive, harmonious, creative communication coming in throughout this week. Mystical conversations about spirituality, exploring the depths, the other realms, right? That type of thing. Creative communication of all kinds, or creative endeavors of all kinds that involve communication, are favorable. So that's a good time this month with the lunar month ahead to start something like that. We also have, of course, the North Node moving into the sign of Cancer and the South Node moving into the sign of Capricorn. And so this is occurring for you, Virgo, in your 11th and in your 5th house. And so the North Node moving into your 11th house is going to bring very fated, very karmic connections that are sort of destined and meant to happen when it comes to friends and groups of people, social networks, that type of thing. So a lot of changes that are very fated going on when it comes to the people that you surround yourself with by choice, groups of people, right? Even clubs, organizations, humanitarian types of pursuits, all of that. And then you'll have the South Node transiting through your 5th house, which is going to make it a little harder for you to play. It can cause you to have to let go of certain circumstances and past karma as it relates to children, your children, or, you know, just children in general, as it relates to old romances and old flames. It can make romance feel a little bit more difficult and a little bit more unsatisfying, which it probably already feels like a lot more work for you because you've had Saturn transiting your 5th house already for quite some time, and you have Pluto there too. And so your relationships right now romantically are quite intense. And you're not seeing your relationships quite so clearly anyway, because you have Neptune transiting your 7th house. So that might be an area where there's a little bit of difficulty there. But even if there's not, there's an energy of needing to let go of the past when it comes to romance, to let go of old flings and old love affairs, even on a psychological and emotional level. This is you focusing less on your own creative pursuits and creative passions out in the world and more on what the group wants, right? And going in a whole new direction in that respect and finding a better balance between those two areas of life. The other thing that's happening is that Uranus is moving backwards into your 8th house. And so any last unexpected 8th house chaos, bringing up your fears, anxieties, insecurities in ways that are unexpected, that are maybe a little bit shocking or surprising to you, challenging. It could be positive and negative, right? When we have Uranus, it's kind of neutral. It just brings like change that we need. And it's like how we deal with it and how we react to it is usually the bulk of what it is, right? So we feel frustrated in a certain area. We feel like there's something we need to change. We feel like there's a fear or a debt or something we need to address because there's that frustration and there's that underlying unsettled feeling. If we don't address it, then that's when Uranus comes out and addresses it for us, and that might be a little less comfortable. So you have to sort of embrace the discomfort and work with it, right? And be open to surprises. And so in the 8th house, that's, surprising circumstances involving debt, finances, other people's money, inheritance. Money could come in from the outside unexpectedly, through partnership, but it could go away just as easily. So it just kind of depends on what's going on there and what you need to sort of learn and change through that experience. The other thing that's going on is that Jupiter is moving into your 4th house of the home, family, property. And so this is going to expand on your place of living, family values, your family unit, even bringing children into your house or bringing new pets or, new family members into your home. That's something that can happen, or you can expand on your home, redecorate, make it more beautiful. This is really good for forming better connections with your family in general. And so a lot of really great benefits for the next year can come to you through your home, your family, your property. For Libra and for Libra rising, this new moon energy is bringing a big reset and a new beginning in the area of your finances. And this is going to be connected to your work and your daily habits, your daily work routines, your daily health routines even. And so this is a really great time for you to sit back and sort of visualize and manifest what you want in terms of finances, right? What kind of financial life do you want? What do you want to bring in terms of money and income? How do you want to utilize your resources? What kind of savings do you want to have? Right? All of these types of questions around money and what you value in a physical financial sense, that's going to be coming up for you. And this is a time when you can have a reset in that area, or maybe even like a new job where it's more in alignment with you being able to sort of go with the flow and work in harmony with your own energy throughout the day. Or maybe you're changing your daily routines and your daily work routines in a way that's going to support you in having that fluidity that you need in your day-to-day work experience while still bringing in more income, right? So these are all things you can think about. So thinking about and visualizing and placing yourself in that position and feeling it, that's going to be the best way to create this new reality for yourself when it comes to your finances. Uranus moving backwards into Aries is going to be affecting your 7th house. So this can unexpectedly bring in, old relationships or new ones, right? That's Uranus going through the 7th house. It's going to bring some disruption and change when it comes to your close personal relationships, especially long-term partnerships in marriage or otherwise. You could unexpectedly have, while it's in retrograde, old flames coming back into your life, usually just to disrupt things and show you where you need to make more adjustments and change. But that's not always the case, maybe for good, but usually, especially if that's happening right now with Venus in retrograde, I would be a little leery of that. But anyway, so you're going to have changes, any last adjustments that you need to make to your relationships, any people that you need to cut out of your life, any new people that you need to bring in that sort of show up in shocking and unexpected ways, anywhere where you need to loosen your ideas of who, you let in and all that, because when Uranus is transiting through the 7th house, you tend to make and form unusual relationships and partnerships, and so that can come up for you. So that's what's going on there. And then the North and South Node are going to be transiting your 10th house and your 4th house. This is a really important time for career growth. With the eclipses, with the North Node transiting through your 10th house, now is a time when you're going to be really working on developing your career, your public reputation, the work that you do out in the world in a very fated, karmic, important way. And this could catapult you into success too. It's not always the case, but it usually at least enhances something, right? When you have the eclipses in the North Node transiting through the 10th house. It's not necessarily easy, and it doesn't turn out usually the way that you think it will, but it turns out the way that it needs to, because it's pulling you in a fated path, in a fated direction. Whenever we're looking at the nodes, we're looking at fate versus free will, and fate usually is what takes over in that area. So it's not like you necessarily feel like you have that much control over what's going on, but it's usually the right direction for you. A lot of sort of disturbance and turbulence can be coming from your 4th house in general, because you have Saturn and Pluto down there. But with the South Node coming and hitting Saturn and Pluto, with the South Node transiting through your 4th house, it's time to focus a little bit less of your energy on your home, your family, your roots, to let go of old karmic situations from your past or from your early childhood involving your home, your family, your roots, and focus and free up more energy to create what you want to create, or to move in the new direction that you're being pulled into when it comes to your career. Okay, guys, this is going to be a long forecast, isn't it? So for Sagittarius, or sorry, for a Libra rising with Jupiter moving into Sagittarius, this is moving into your 3rd house. This is a really great time for communication of all kinds, marketing. Really great benefits can come through communicating with people in new, expansive, beautiful ways. This is a great time to embark on some sort of higher educational pursuit, to take more trips, especially short distance trips and day trips and things like that, to explore and expand your horizons and realize that adventure can be had in your immediate environment. You don't have to go across the world to find it. And this could really enhance your connections with your siblings, your extended family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, all of that. And it's going to sort of elevate your mindset. So you're going to be thinking more big picture, which you already kind of have a tendency toward with Sagittarius ruling the 3rd house, but you're going to be thinking a lot more optimistically. Your mindset and even the language you use will be more jovial and optimistic with Jupiter moving through the 3rd house. All right, for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your 1st house. This is all about you. So especially if you have your sun moon rising near that 15th degree in Scorpio, so I would say again between 12 and 18 degrees, you're going to be feeling this new moon the most, and this is going to be a big cosmic reset for you in all areas of life, where you can really manifest what you want to create. This is a really great time to focus on what you love, what you need, what you want, what you desire in terms of play, in terms of hobbies, interests, passions, creativity, because this is going to be in a connection with your 5th house through obviously Neptune, which is transiting your 5th house right now. And so, whatever you want to start for yourself, if you want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your self-image, do something different, change something, to favor your own self-interest. This is the time when you can really sit down, reflect, visualize it, feel it, experience it in your body, and then allow the events to unfold in order to manifest whatever it is that you're trying to create for yourself. For Scorpios, it's going to be very personal. And it's going to be about your self-interest. And it could even be about your body, your health, your image, because it is the house of the body. It is the house of self-image. It is the house of the way that you project your energy outwardly into the world. So how do you want to show up? How do you want people to see you? Do you want people to see you as more like cold and callous and, very sort of intense Scorpio? Or do you want to be a little lighter, a little more compassionate, a little bit more playful with that 5th house energy being brought in? How do you want to be? The other energy that's happening for Scorpio is that Uranus is transiting backwards into your 6th house. And so in retrograde, it's going to be revisiting a lot of any sort of chaos, disruption that was going on in the area of health, of daily routines, daily habits. If you found that, when Uranus moved into Taurus, you were much more easily able to stick to a routine, which you maybe probably haven't been able to for the past few years, that's going to stop again. So you're going to be a little bit more disheveled in that area. But any last adjustments that you need to make when it comes to your daily routines, your daily work habits, your relationships with your coworkers, the way that you go about doing your work and scheduling your time, and also the way that you look at your food, your nutrition, your health, right? You know, any last little health issues might pop up, so that way you can address them in new and exciting ways. So think outside the box to look at those new innovations, so that way you can work through this energy once and for all over the next few months. Okay, and so the last things that are happening for Scorpio rising are that you're having the North Node move backwards into Cancer, which is your 9th house. This is the house of teaching. Maybe you want to become a teacher. Maybe you want to focus on learning something new, growing and exploring in very fated and very karmic ways when it comes to your knowledge base, your beliefs about God, the universe, the world around you. Now is the time to focus on the bigger picture and to focus on broadening your horizons through experience, through travel, through connecting with new teachers in ways that are very fated, very karmic. It could bring a fated new teacher where it's like, wow, you know, I was meant to connect with this person, and this person has taught me so many things, right? And it's usually like in Cancer more of a feminine energy, because that's just the nature of Cancer, but it, you know, it could be either or, male or female. But yeah, and this is a really great time where, you know, very fated, very karmic circumstances could be brought up in terms of traveling, especially long distance travel. Focusing too much of your energy on day-to-day communications, on community, on your neighborhood, on your siblings, extended family members, that's going to bog you down and prevent you from feeling satisfied. Focusing too much on the details, right, and missing the bigger picture. That's kind of the trap of the South Node in the 3rd house. And so you need to really focus on the bigger picture, changing your beliefs, right? It's about your philosophies and your beliefs that provide the framework for your reality. And so there might be some sort of something that you need to let go of in terms of your day-to-day communications, your self-talk, your relationships with your siblings, your relationships with your community, in order to free up energy so that way you can branch out and explore in big, new, exciting ways. Interesting, yes. Okay, so so Jupiter is going to be moving into Sagittarius as well, and that's the final sort of big shift this week. And so Jupiter moving into Sagittarius will be in your 2nd house, lucky Scorpio, because this is going to be expanding on your resources, money. Usually finances come in a lot more easily when Jupiter is transiting through your 2nd house. If you work really hard, you know, you can really seed some intentions and expand on your wealth and your resources, and then it'll last for the next 12 years. Or you can kind of just coast by and just, you know, allow yourself to relax a little bit, because money's coming in and it's taken care of. It just depends on what's best for you and what you want to do with that energy, right? But I know last time Jupiter was in Sagittarius, with me being as like a Scorpio, it was the easiest time financially for me in my life up until, you know, more recently as Jupiter's starting to move into Sagittarius again. So it's like it comes in cycles, right? So use it while it's there. Okay. So for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this is a really good time where you really need to spend time in introspection. You need to spend time away from the world. Stop trying to force things. Stop trying to do things out in the world so much, because you have a new moon happening in your 12th house. 12th house is the house of relaxation. It's the house of rest. It's the house of introspection of the subconscious mind, and especially with all this water energy really prevalent right now, and having this trine to Neptune, which is in your 4th house of the home, family, property, what's going on behind the scenes. That's where you need to really seed your intentions, right? So if you want to manifest something involving a new spiritual practice, involving, you know, getting away from the world more, having more time for rest, creativity, to explore your passions, having more time for your family. If you want to change your home or your place of living or your family dynamic in some sort of way, now's a time when you can really sit in that, right? Visualize it, feel it, experience it in your body, and then allow it to be made manifest. The other thing that's going on for Sagittarius rising is that Uranus is retrograding back into your 5th house, which can bring up unexpected circumstances involving children, maybe unexpected childbirth or something like that. It can shake you up in terms of having you look at really unusual new hobbies, new passions, new interests. It can break you out of sort of old paradigms and complacency when it comes to your hobbies, your passions, and the things that you love to do out in the world. And it can help you to explore your creative potential in new and exciting ways. It can also have you revisiting old romances and stuff like that in sort of unusual ways, so you can make those last minute adjustments so that way you can move forward into something better. The other energy that's happening for Sagittarius rising is that the North Node is moving into your 8th house. This could mean that you need to focus a little bit less on creating money and resources through your own efforts and your own hard work. And money could be coming in, or very fated circumstances could come up where, you know, finances come in from an outside source through inheritance, through maybe you have this sort of karmic synchronistic experience that leads you to make an important investment, because that could be something too, making investments with the North Node in the 8th house that are very fated, very karmic, part of your destiny, dealing with any sort of past karma involving debt, finances, other people's money, disempowerment, deep-seated fears, insecurities, and wounds, traumas, those types of things that you can work through a lot more easily. This is going to be a time of deep inner work and deep inner exploration for you. And, you know, it's going to be a time of learning, not attachment to physical possessions. It doesn't mean the material possessions won't be there. It just means that you're going to have to learn for one reason or another to be less attached, maybe because you have to move and you have to let go of some of your items, right? Something like that. And you realize that maybe these things that you thought were really important because they're tangible and physical and static, maybe they're not that important, right? Maybe you can live with less, that type of thing. And then you also have, finally, Jupiter moving into your sign, which is excellent. That brings benefits of all kinds. You know, the spotlight is on you, Sag. So for Sagittarius rising people, this is going to enhance your charisma. This is going to help you to be more, it's going to enhance your personality too. People's personalities become enhanced and bigger and expanded on when you have Jupiter moving through Sagittarius. It's going to help you to feel much more optimistic. This is going to kind of force you to be seen a little bit more out in the open as well. It puts you center stage. People are going to be more drawn to you. And so, you know, either by force or by circumstance or by choice, you're going to be putting yourself out there a little bit more, but in a very positive way. You're going to feel good about it. You're going to feel excited about it. And Sagittarius rising people are not necessarily shy, so it should work out just fine. But really for the next year, anything that you want to initiate involving your own self-interest, you have the green light to do it. So it's a good time for Sagittarius. It's an auspicious time for Sagittarius. So enjoy that energy. All right, for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. Okay, so this new moon is happening in your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of friends, social networks, the people that you surround yourself with by choice. And this is going to be in a really nice trine with Neptune, which is in your 3rd house of communication. And so this is a really great time for networking. This is a really great time for connecting with your friends, setting the intention to form really deep, compassionate, intimate friendships, which is, you know, what Capricorn rising people like, because they have Scorpio ruling their 11th house. So they're probably more prone to having more intimate connections with people. They want to keep their social group small, but trustworthy. And deeply connected, right? And so you can bring in that more compassionate energy into your social circle. You can open yourself up a little bit. You can have really mystical, sort of fated, unusual communications. Creative communication is enhanced. And so this is a really great time in general to reach out to your friends, to spend time relaxing with a group of people that you love. You know, that's a really good way to utilize this energy. So, you know, communicating with the people that you care about, that you trust, spending time with the people that you love to spend time with by choice, your friends, your social networks, your clubs, your organizations that you're a part of, whatever it is, and networking for creative projects and pursuits. That could be something that you could do with this as well. So Uranus is retrograding back into your 4th house. This is the house of the home, family, property, your place of living. And so any last minute adjustments that you need to make over these next few months when it comes to, you know, your home, family, property, maybe bringing in a new family member, maybe making changes or renovations to the home, maybe moving, whatever it is that you need to change and adjust that didn't get completed during the main transit of Uranus through the sign of Aries. Now is a time when you're going to have to revisit that energy and that need for change. And then finally, actually not finally, there's 2 more things going on here. So you have the South Node moving into your sign of Capricorn and the North Node moving into Cancer. And so the next 18 months are about you coming into some really fated karmic connections when it comes to relationships. And this isn't just romantic relationships. This is all close personal personal relationships and partnerships, so close friendships, business partnerships, contractual agreements, even client relationships and things like that can show up in the 7th house. And so this is you focusing a little bit more on the needs of other people, and it's going to come about in very fated karmic ways, and you're going to have fated karmic new relationships probably coming in, friendships, romantic, or otherwise. And it's you focusing a little bit less on your own self-interest, your own ego gratification, your own needs, wants, and desires, because that's not going to feel satisfying for you right now. You need to focus a little bit more on your relationships and developing relationships in very new fated karmic ways, relationships that feel safe, secure, comfortable, that feel kind of like home. That's what you'll be moving into with this energy. And then also you have Jupiter moving into Sagittarius in the 12th house. Jupiter does really well in the 12th house, and it does really well in Sagittarius. And so this is going to bring a lot of benefits to you through rest, ease, contemplation, spirituality. Your spiritual practices can be enhanced. Whatever it is that you're working on in that 12th house area behind the scenes, you're going to have the green light to do it. And this is a really great time with Jupiter moving through your 12th house over this next year to spend time in retreat, right? Go on that spiritual retreat. Go off into the Amazon rainforest for a few days, whatever it is that you want to do, right? And spend time doing your own spiritual practice in your own way. And a lot of really great benefits can occur from that. All right, so Aquarius and Aquarius rising. This new moon is happening in your 10th house of career and public reputation. And so this is going to bring a reset and new beginnings in that area of life where you can really turn inward and focus and visualize on creating what you want to create. When it comes to your career, when it comes to the work that you're doing out in the world, what do you want to do? What do you want to enhance? What do you want to move forward with? And how do you want to earn your money, right? Because that's Neptune. It's in a trine with Neptune, which is normally problematic a little bit in the 2nd house. Money sort of flows right through your fingertips when you have Neptune transiting the 2nd house. But right now you can use that energy for manifestation, because the other sort of hallmark of this Neptune transit through the 2nd house is that money's always there when you need it. So you're never going to be completely without, but it's going to be hard to hold on to your resources and keep track of it. And so this is a really good time to visualize and to sit in the energy of what you want when it comes to your career, your finances, your public reputation, your big overall career and financial goals and plans. Feel yourself in it, visualize what you want, be in it, feel it emotionally, energetically, and then allow things to unfold for you to manifest that. The other thing that's going on here is that Uranus is moving back into your 3rd house, which can bring up surprising and disruptive communication, ideas that sort of disrupt your framework and disrupt your mindset in very shocking and unexpected ways. It can disrupt your day-to-day communications, your day-to-day commute. It can bring sort of issues and difficulties and disruption and liberation, even though through short distance travel, through your commute to work and all that, through cars, through vehicles, through siblings, extended family members, relatives, that type of thing. And then you're also going to have the South Node moving out of your sign, which, is usually experienced as a little bit of a relief. And then the North Node the South Node will be moving into your 12th house. The North Node will be moving into your 6th. And so this is going to be a time when very fated karmic circumstances over the next couple of years, or the next 18 months at least, through the eclipses and through the nodes transiting through this area of your chart, will bring about will force you to move into a new path, right? A new fated karmic predestined path when it comes to your work, your day-to-day work routines, your day-to-day health habits, your nutrition, your relationships with your coworkers. All of these things are going to be subject to change. They're going to be pulled into a whole new path when it comes to the way that you do your work out in the world, and focusing a little bit less on spending time in solitude, seclusion, spiritual practice, right? And focusing more on the physical, the tangible, what's going on outside in the world, and working really hard toward, your end goal when it comes to what you want for your work and for your day-to-day routines, and how you sort of nurture yourself in your day-to-day life, because that's Cancer. You're also going to have Jupiter moving into the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of friends, social networks, the people that you surround yourself with by choice, groups, humanitarian types of pursuits. Those types of things are all benefited by Jupiter moving into Sagittarius. And so this is a time when you're probably going to be expanding on your social circle. You'll have really great, wonderful, beautiful friendships and coming into your life that are going to be very beneficial to you in a lot of different ways. You know, old and new friendships alike are going to benefit from this. So you're going to find yourself feeling much more optimistic and connected to your friends. This could also bring in friends that come from a distance, right? So people in foreign countries and connections with groups of people over the internet, even, because that's the 11th house as well. That can be very beneficial to you in a lot of different ways. This could also be you, you know, doing something over the internet and connecting with groups of people in a way that's very beneficial for you, maybe beneficial for your work, because that's something else we're talking about this week. So yeah, so that's what's going on there. I remember when I had Jupiter transiting through my 11th house, I made a lot of like really awesome new friends. So it is something that can happen for sure. Okay. So for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. This is the house of your beliefs. This is the house of adventure. This is the house of higher education, foreign travel, connecting with teachers. It's the house of religion. It's the house of you know, ethics and morals and integrity. And so this is a time when you can really sort of seed a new intention or have some sort of reset in terms of your beliefs or what you value, your perspective on life especially. And you can have a reset in this area that benefits you personally, that benefits you in a way that expands on your compassion, your sort of idealistic nature, your creativity in a positive way though. And so thinking about how you connect your beliefs to the way that you show up in the world, and thinking about what you value, and thinking about maybe even seeding some sort of intention in terms of like, you know, long distance travel or going on some sort of spiritual retreat, or, you know, traveling for spiritual exploration, or for, you know, attaining and acquiring new knowledge through your experience. These are all things that you can really, you know, seed in terms of intentions. So, you know, visualizing yourself in the place that you want to travel to, that would be one really good example of a way to utilize this energy. So really going inward, feeling it, experiencing it in your body, experiencing it energetically, and then allowing that energy to take hold and to manifest over the course of this next month. The other energy that's happening for Pisces and Pisces rising is Uranus is going backward into your 2nd house. So any last adjustments that you need to make in terms of the way that you create resources for yourself, your finances, right? That's what's going to be coming up for you in shocking and unexpected ways over the course of the next few months, all the way until March. And so with Uranus back in the 2nd house, you're probably no stranger to financial disruption, you know, big, you know, it could be really shocking and surprising money coming in. It could be money coming out for very shocking and surprising ways. It could also be that you've been working really hard on liberating yourself in order to be able to work a little bit more independently and to do things your own way in terms of the way that you create resources. And so there might be some last adjustments that you need to make in that area in order to be fully set and fully liberated and fully free moving forward. And then the other things that are going on are that the North Node is transiting your, is that your 4th house? What's happening here? No, that's your 5th house. I drew this little slanty. So the North Node is transiting your 5th house, which rules children, it rules play, it rules your hobbies, your interests, your passions, the things that you love to do because you love to do them. And so, you know, with the North Node transiting this area, especially in the sign of Cancer, I would say that this could bring very fated and karmic circumstances that show up sort of in unexpected ways to pull you in a whole new path and a whole new direction when it comes to children and your relationship with children. This could also be, you know, you going in a new path in terms of romance, having like a crazy love affair that comes in for a very specific reason to show you something. This could also be you re-engaging with new hobbies, new interests, new forms of creativity that you never would have thought of before, that come about in really unexpected ways, where you're focusing a little bit less of your energy, but you bring in a lot of gifts in this area, right? But you're going to be going through a process of unraveling and letting go of old karma when it comes to the 11th house, which is friends, social networks, the people you surround yourself with by choice. And you might already be feeling a little difficulty in this area, like your relationships or your time with your friends is a little bit limited or restricted, or you've been purging certain people from your life. And that's going to be the case as well, you know, and it's going to enhance that, but it's also going to bring in, you know, faded past life connections with people that maybe you need to reintegrate them into your experience in this lifetime. So you'll find yourself meeting up with friends that feel familiar. They feel like family. It feels like you already know them. And then the other energy that's happening is that Jupiter, of course, is moving into your 10th house of career. Yay. So when Jupiter's in the 10th house, it can really expand on your career, your public reputation, your relationship with your superiors, with people in positions of authority. Really great benefits can come through connecting with people in positions of perceived or actual authority who can really help to enhance your public reputation and who can really help to, further your career goals. And so this is a really great time over the next year where you're really going to have a lot of great benefits to your career. Things might just sort of flow a little bit more easily for you in that area. If you're already happy with your career and you don't want to make any changes, then just sit back. It'll work out well for you. But if you do want to change something, if you do want to grow something, start a new project, expand on your career, now is a time when you can start to think about doing that because you have a lot of momentum for the next year. All right, you guys. So that was the forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you so much for, watching this video, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. As always, if you want to book a reading with me, you can do that in the description of the video down below. And be sure to, follow me on Facebook to get updates about the energy and the astrology. And if you want to get a little bit more in depth into the lunar nodes, especially, and Jupiter and Sagittarius, you can always purchase the webinar that I did with Robert Phoenix, and the link to do that is also in the description below. All right, guys, it's going to be a crazy week. Mostly positive though, I think. So we'll see how it goes. So I'll see you guys next time, and let me know how you're doing in the comment section below. I do like hearing about, the astrology as it's happening and how you guys are experiencing it. So yeah, I do like that you guys leave such nice comments all the time. So that's always fun for me to go through and read, and I do read most of them. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.